Hi, I'm Debbie Stadtler, Editor-in-Chief of Provider Magazine, and today I'm here with Steve Holt and Bill Charnetski of PointClick Care to share their ideas and perspectives in support of long-term care providers. Steve is Vice President of Government Affairs for PointClick Care, and Bill is Executive Vice President for Health System Solutions and Government Affairs. Bill, let's start with the big one. There has been a noticeable shift from federal to state level regulation in healthcare. From your perspective, how is that playing out for tech providers? And what kind of challenges is it creating when you have to navigate different regulatory frameworks?
Yeah, so you start with a tough one, right? Is that how it goes?
Of course.
So if I'm asked what keeps me up at night these days, it's that shift, both in volume and kind of importance of regulation to the state level. So for us, for providers, it now gets increasingly complex, especially if you're a regional or national provider, because you're having to deal with different methods of regulation, different rules that apply. And then for the tech providers, especially if you do what we do, it's not right that we're used to a national approach, because that's not actually accurate, but more and more we're having to go state by state and develop the offerings and products to make sure that we take good care of the provider customers. So there are many challenges. I think on the opportunity side, it's good you're able to tailor now to each individual state. So in a perfect world, everybody's product is perfectly tailored to their needs. So there is that opportunity, but it is increasingly difficult for us and for providers.
Absolutely. I could see that 50 different things to
Right.
navigate instead of one.
Right.
Well, Steve, with each state taking its own approach, it definitely adds complexity. Do you see any upside to that? Who's benefiting? And how can we make it work better for everyone involved?
Yeah, the complexity is a good word for it, right? As Bill alluded to, as states more and more develop their own rules of the road for how to be interoperable, how to participate in the healthcare ecosystem, there's going to be more requirements that are placed on providers. And so really what we have to find is a way to strike a balance that makes sense to bring senior care providers into the fold, working with other pieces of the healthcare ecosystem. And then mostly, and it's something we talk about all the time, preventing unfunded mandates from occurring, because that's when you see a lot of these shared standards being developed. There are jumps in technological capabilities that are required to get there, and unless there is a funding mechanism attached to it, it's a little bit putting the cart before the horse, and we don't want to leave out the entire spectrum of senior care providers.
Absolutely. Unfunded is never something we want to go forward with. Well, Steve, value-based care is another parallel track. How do you see it playing out differently at the state level, and what does it mean when there's no blanket federal guidance to rely on?
Yeah, a lot of variance on the value-based care front, and frankly what that definition even means depending on who you ask. When you look at the state level, there are a lot of really interesting examples out there and examples of success in bringing providers into the fold, improving outcomes, lowering cost. I think an easy place to start is often around rehospitalizations. Think about every effectively managed transition of care and how much money you're saving the ecosystem. So I think that's a really interesting and seamless way for Medicaid offices to begin. And then when you look at other standards that are out there and the sustainability of programs, I'll use, frankly, California as an example, and Cassie and Yvonne at CAF have been wonderful to work with, but they have extreme budget pressures that are potentially going to impact the quality program in California. And so if you're a provider, if you're a tech company, and you're building your financial models on these reimbursement structures, and they can go away, it creates a lot of unsustainability in the network as a whole. And so that's something that we always want to make sure that we're shoring up and working with our clients on advocating for.
Absolutely. Being agile and nimble is so critical these days. Bill, with every state doing things just a little bit differently, what role do you see technology playing in helping scale quality care across such a fragmented landscape?
Yeah. So this is the big question, and
Yes.
It's the one we talk about inside. I mean, part of it is what's good for our business, but the more important part is what's good for the sector, the ecosystem, and ultimately our customers, right? So one of the things I know Steve's heard me say this 1,000 times, that every industry on the planet invests in 3 areas to optimize their investment of resources, time, energy, and money. And that's in bricks and mortar, in human resources, and in innovation or technology. In health, especially in long-term care, we haven't got that balance quite right. And it's not just our view, it's the view of kind of anybody that's involved in the sector. We really we're only going to get to a point where we're optimizing that time, energy, and money investment if we also now invest in innovation and technology in the way that other sectors do. At the time of the High-Tech Act, there was a big infusion of funds for those who were acute care providers. The long-term post-acute care providers were not included at that. So as Steve said, that means they don't have the resources necessarily to spend. So that's one of the components that we advocate for. We literally are educating people on the LTPAC sector, both elected and non-elected officials. I was just at a CMS listening session around an RFI that was issued on the use of technology, and it was really encouraging to hear Secretary Kennedy and Chief Administrator Oz talk about literally the transformational shift to digital health information technology, and increasingly involving the private sector in getting the solutions to the many challenges that we face and taking advantage of the opportunities that are before us. So there definitely is a movement afoot to provide that kind of investment. So for us, we advocate for that. We advocate against the fragmentation that we talked about a little while ago, the different state levels and the federal level. And then, as Steve touched on, we're advocating for an alignment of the different initiatives and requirements that come out of CMS and things like value-based care. So a better kind of overall examination of the direction that the industry wants to go in by those who are setting the rules of the game. And they're, with that alignment, ensuring that the people are doing the things that everybody wants to do. But there's still lots of opportunity, and that's why it's very exciting for us to be participating in it. And we really look forward to, with the combination of our advocacy, with the solutions that we develop, with the the work that we do on the regulatory front. There's now a broad-based value proposition that comes from companies like PointClick Care, or at least PointClick Care, where we're trying to really be solid participants in the ecosystem for the benefit of our customers.
Absolutely. A lot of moving pieces, but I think we can all, providers, companies, stakeholders, agree that this investment in technology and innovation is needed, is welcomed, and we look forward to hearing more about that. Well, thank you for being with us today, Steve, Bill. I appreciate it. Thank you.